All right, all right, all right. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Arclight's Asylum. I'm your host, Zach, and we have another episode of Real-Time Painting for you tonight. Quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Aries Minis and Games. Derek has helped support my endeavors for a few years now, continues to do so, so thanks to him. I normally only add his tag onto my social media posts, but I figured it's about time to start adding them onto the show, so here you go. Tonight we have the Clan Nova Cat Alpha Galaxy binary that we have been chugging through for a few streams now. I'm looking to finish the blue this evening and get started on the starfields themselves. It's going to be a fun night of highlighting and making these beauties pop. I do apologize for the late start. The wife and I have been dealing with a cranky kid who's teething, and her canines are starting to break through. So she is pissed, to say the least. Better late than never, though. Quick reminder to pop on over to the Discord if you haven't already. In the Real-Time Painting channel, I'd like to invite all listeners to post your work-in-progress shots, photos of finished minis, or any other hobby and art-related things you'll want to share. Doesn't really matter, as long as it's kind of hobby and art-related. Feel free to drop it in. I have the link in the description on YouTube, and I've dropped it into the chat on Discord as well as YouTube. Without further ado, let's hop over to the painting desk and let's get to it. Okay. Audio seems like it's good on the mic. We'll get started. Have a little sip of my much-needed beverage. Been a very long day. It is a Monday after all. Alright, so if you weren't with us the last time, Computer Source, what's going on? If you weren't with us last time, we finished off with kind of the initial edge highlights on the Timberwolf and the Warhawk. This is just initial edge highlights of Temple Guard Blue from Citadel. We're basically gonna do this for the remainder of the mechs, and then we're going to go through with a bit of arcane blue that has just a touch of white added into it, and then we're gonna pop these up even brighter. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my trusty magnetic painting handle. It's from Thunderhead Studios. Really good stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here a little bit. Try to avoid getting my hair in the way too much. Never something I can promise. Just gonna go ahead and add a little bit more of the Temple Guard Blue to my wet palette. Stuff that I have on the palette right now is pretty thin, and there's not a lot of it. So, just adding 2 drops to start. This is an airbrush paint. It's fairly thin out of the bottle, so I don't really need to thin this, and it gives me some pretty decent edge highlights. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a number 2 brush. This is from Animal by Mig. It's a Marta Kolinsky. It's got a really nice sharp tip. I do most of my detail work with this. It's got a little bit of moisture in the brush, just a very, very tiny amount. Don't need much. I'm gonna go ahead and take the puck off my the main post on this. So I'm just gonna start with kind of the tops. These can be a little bit chunkier because these are just kind of the initial edge highlights. We're going to add on some sharper, smaller edge highlights as well as some point highlights. So going a little bit thicker with this isn't the worst thing. I'm trying to hit all these top panels as well as all the ones facing the front. I'm going to try to avoid kind of like undersides. On the top here, I'm going to hit most of the edges, but when it comes to like the sides and stuff like that, I'm gonna be a little bit more conservative with how I apply them. Just tracing those edges. I'm trying to find like a natural brush stroke. Sometimes it's just a matter of repositioning your hands. I always try to find like the most comfortable possible position to apply my paint. Really emphasize these front edges. I'll still hit the ones on the back, but I really want to emphasize the front ones. It's where we've spent a lot of time building up the color. I'll hit the back side of this one here as well. This whole area here. Just stroking the side of my brush along these harder edges. Just trying to catch all those edges with that blue. Rinse my brush out, grab a little bit more paint. Yeah, with the late start, my wife and I, we normally get our daughter to bed between 6 and 7, and she was an absolute bear until about 7:30. Then she calmed down, and we managed to kind of get her to lay in her bed relatively quietly, and then it was just a matter of playing the waiting game until she was asleep. So never fun when your kid's in pain, you know. It's especially when you're doing all the right things and they're just still in pain. Hitting these tiny little edges here. On this little backside. It's a small little detail, but does catch the eye a little bit. I hit around the edges on these round pieces. This brush is drying out quite a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and rinse it. A lot of little panels on the top of this pouncer. Proving quite tedious. That's okay though. There's something very cathartic and therapeutic about doing edge highlights, I think. I know sometimes I get a little bit annoyed with having to do them on certain miniatures, but it's definitely therapeutic. Kind of like sanding a piece of wood almost, you know what I mean? It's just repetition. Pop quite well. The nice thing is, because we're only doing like the torso and the head, we're not having to do the entire miniature because all the gray is essentially edge highlighted already. It's pretty quick. Doesn't actually take too long to do this step. Gonna hit those straight front to back panel lines there. Got like a good wet amount of paint on my my brush right now, so I'm just trying to make sure I use it all before it starts to dry. We're hitting some of the backside here. Trying to avoid those jump jet ports a little bit. It's just starting to thin out a little bit on the brush, but that's okay. That's honestly about good with this one. Yeah, we'll crack on to the Nova. This guy doesn't have, it's got a fair amount of little panel lines on the top, so this will be kind of fun. Going on Werewolf 22. No, it's I'm just noticing that my chat box isn't showing up on my screen. Sorry, I was just briefly troubleshooting this. That's okay. I have my chat in a separate window, just on my kind of heads-up display here. So I do not see your messages popping up right now, which is unfortunate. But I like on the actual stream screen, but I can see them in the chat window here, so I can still reply. Thankfully, that's super annoying. Yeah, I'm just noticing my my browser source for that is non-existent on my scene in my streaming software. That's okay. That's something I can fix during one of the breaks, or maybe I'll just fix it for next stream. It is what it is. I just start in a hurry here, so didn't really have time to iron out the kinks ahead of time. I usually like to take like a good half hour, 45 minutes before each stream just to get everything booted up and make sure everything's working properly. Run a few test alerts, things like that. But no joy this time. Just a little bit there. They're hitting these ones. Using the side of the tip of the brush to get into those little grooves. And because I don't have like a very runny paint on my on my brush here, it's almost like I'm dry brushing kind of these edges. You know, you can already kind of see like my brush is starting to get a little funky at the tip, and that's because it's pretty dry right now. Go ahead and shake that out in some water. This was some nice fresh paint. Some bold on the front there. Same with the fronts of all these panel lines. I'm kind of going to do these a little bit sharper and more, I shouldn't say a little bit sharper, a little bit bolder. And then the ones on the back sides, or facing the back side, I'm going to do just a little bit sharper and not as thick and bold. I'm going to do the sides here. Again, I'm kind of doing these just a little bit sharper. Pretty much anything that I can feasibly reach from this angle, I'll do so, and then I'll swap positions and then do all the other ones that I can reach feasibly from that angle. That way I'm not changing hand position a bunch of times working on the same panel. I just kind of hit all the panels on the top side from that angle and then move on. I think these are essentially all good, actually. I'm just kind of looking at all of them. Yeah, those are essentially all good, minus that one. Kind of trace across there. Warwolf, subscribe. Thanks for the sub. Really appreciate it. Seems like my alert box isn't working either. It's super annoying. Sorry you didn't get to see the big thing pop up on the screen, but I'm happy I can at least acknowledge it. See if I can sort some of that out. Found a subscribe button. Let me test it out. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I finally got the sub button working. Because I reached Twitch affiliate finally. I think I probably reached it a little while ago. I just didn't realize until last stream. So got that set up finally. Yes, feel free to sub if you're watching. Then I think I'm probably in, I don't know, about 45 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break and I'm going to see if I can get a couple of these browser sources working so I can have my my chat showing up back on the screen again. See if I can get the alerts working as well. Looks like it works. Yes, it does indeed. Sub button works. Thanks for the sub. So, whoops. That little recess, I'll kind of have to, I'm going to be coming back to pin wash some of these areas, so I don't got to worry too much about that. All these top facing edges I'm going to hit, but I'm not going to hit some of these ones facing the backside. Like I hit this panel edge that's facing forwards, but the one just on the other side of this panel line back here, I'm not going to hit the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of hit the top half, and just I'm doing that because I want to create just a little additional contrast, but I'm just going to stop it there. I'm not going to quite bring it to the corner. Top one, those other ones on the other side of the panel line here. Your sword is awesome. Yes, it is awesome. Cool. Again, focusing on all the top facing panel lines and all the forward facing ones. I'll follow this over the curve. Follow this up and over from front here, just like so. It's really starting to pop on those lines. I've got a few lines up here I got to do. You got it. We got to support awesome painters like yourself. Keep up the great work. Oh, I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. If I could do this full time, I would absolutely love it. I think that's a pipe dream for me, but man can dream. Dreams are free, as my wife likes to say. kind of do this little panel edge a little bit brighter. I'm going to do the framing around the canopy here as well. I'm kind of hitting the inside of the canopy, but that's okay. I'm going to go back in with some black later. Not a big deal. I'm going to do these little weird pod things down on either side of the head, the canopy area, and then I can move on to the back side of the torso. I don't actually know what these things are. I don't know, like they always remind me of like air intakes on fighter jets or something. I have no idea what these are for. Okay, I'm gonna hit this edge. Cool. Maybe we can move on to the back side now. Not much to do on there. Rinse out the brush quickly. Add a little more paint to the brush. Kind of the top rear edge there. I'll make it nice and bold. Now I'm just going to kind of hit all the top facing edges first, and then all these ones that just come kind of straight down. That's fine. And yeah, that's really it. Like just the top facing ones, and then the ones that come kind of straight down like that. Those are the only ones I'm doing on that spot. I'm gonna kind of hit a few of them underneath here, but not a huge amount. And I'm just gonna do very small areas. Just putting like little touches of this stuff. Just trying to catch some of these really fine edges on the underside of the rear of the torso. Just so it doesn't look like a dark void. Whoops. That's never optimal or ideal. Especially if there's an area that's really well highlighted right above it, it'll look kind of out of whack. These little curved surfaces. Maybe a little bit along the what's the line here? Just a little bit. I'm gonna come in and just kind of scrub this away. This little bit of a mistake I made. Well, I'll have to come in and just kind of touch up that little edge and whatnot by the hip, but that's totally fine. It's looking pretty good. That's about all we need, I think, for this guy. To move on to the fire moth. Have another little sippy sip of my drink. Definitely getting a lot more traffic on Twitch, it seems. It's kind of funny considering the amount of comments I've been getting of people asking to run on YouTube over the last few months. So as well as previously last year when I was running streams at about this time. Maybe it's just the day of the week. It is Monday, so it's probably kind of hit or miss for folks. Clear the head here. Whoops. Extra bold, but that's okay. It's a little bit sharper. I'm kind of scrub this off, actually. It's a little bit too much. Probably post in the mini forum on Discord. Nice. Which mini forum? Because I'm part of a few mini forums, and I post the stream link in like the mini painting forum for like the Hell Memory Core. The other one. It's escaping me right now. Oh, Avery's Minis and Games, yeah. Mini painting forum, that's another spot I posted in, so. This is going to prove to be just a little tedious because there are a few like small panel lines here. I'm going to fudge this area up here. Reloading my brush. Just a little too much moisture in there. Stuck that off the side. Try to get this one on the barrel. This one up here as well. And then Hell Memory Core. Ah, I see. The mini thread's one of the only things I actually look at every day on Discord. Nice. I would also encourage you to hop over to my Discord. And I would also encourage you to hop over to the Camo Specs Discord because we have some cool stuff in there too. Pretty sure if you go onto the Camo Specs online website, it's linked somewhere on there. I think it's on the homepage. I'd have to take a look. I haven't looked in a little bit, so. Jumped on yours when I saw you were going on stream. Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming to hang out. I'm excited to see how many people post in the real-time painting channel on my Discord. Because I want to take like the last 20 minutes of the stream or so to just kind of go through some of the stuff that people have posted, give some critiques, feedback, whatever. Or if you just want to show your stuff off and have me woo at your stuff, and I can just do that too. Doesn't have to be critiques. Just take a look at your stuff. Doesn't have to be miniatures either. It can be anything art related. If you like painting, watercolors, or anything like that, post it up. I'm a big fan of pencil drawings too. I just like art in general. There's a pretty cool page on Instagram I follow called MJ's Paintings. Like MJS Paintings. And the person that runs it has a Patreon. So you can like take art lessons and stuff from them. Getting a little bit sloppy on this guy here. Scrub that a little bit. But yeah, that fella does some pretty incredible stuff with acrylic painting on just like canvas. That's pretty good oil painting too, but the acrylic stuff is really cool. Stolen a few techniques for one of my backdrops that I painted. That'd be my desert backdrop that has like the mountains and the sky. The sky I did mostly with airbrush, but the mountains is all just with normal brush. Stole a few tips from that dude's page. These little side areas of the side of the cockpit. Reload my brush and kind of do some really bold highlights on the nose of the mech here. I would like to get back into paint. I used to paint when I was young, literally in the 80s. I'd like to get back into it. Yeah, definitely. I don't know, I dabbled a little bit throughout my youth, was never any good. And then early 2020, before COVID hit, I was starting to get interested again. So I started kind of procuring some things, and then when COVID hit, I was kind of on a work from home status for a little while. So, and by work from home, you know, I work for the military and the infantry. There's not a whole lot of work and you can do from home. So it's basically, we all got paid to sit at home and do nothing for months and months and months. So I just spent that time painting and just kind of dove into it. So I definitely would encourage you to get back into it. It's a pretty good hobby these days. There's lots of resources, lots of teaching resources on YouTube. Like, I'm completely, I guess can't really say self-taught because I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, but that's essentially how I learned everything, was just watching YouTube and scouring miniature painting forums on Facebook and other places online, getting tips from people. If you're resourceful, you can definitely acquire a lot of knowledge online. I don't really got to go too hard with this guy. I'm just gonna get these little gaps. I think that's about good. We don't need to get too much more on this. I gotta come back and like make this look prettier because this is pretty horrendous. I'm not gonna lie. I went way too bold with the initial lines that I put on, but that's okay. I'm gonna add like a nice pretty star on there or something. Actually, when we do the decals, I'm probably going to be putting a big Clan Novacat emblem right there. So I'm going to do some nice sharp edge highlights where I do the big chunky ones later on. And along with all the stars and everything, it should just kind of work. Yeah. Things like this inspire, thanks. Oh, happy to inspire. Have another little sippy sip about halfway through the mechs here. Do this Hellhound Conjurer. This is definitely not a Wolverine 2C. I don't think the clans would like the not named clan's name to be associated with one of their current mechs. Bolder than I would have liked on a couple of those, but that's okay. Do it on the backside after. I'm just going to kind of hit this little corner edge. So, same on this side. Well, I kind of filled that in already, so. I think what's not helping me here too is I have a fan going in the background, so I'm trying to add a little bit of extra moisture to my paint so it doesn't dry out so quickly on my brush. But then that's causing me a little bit of small problem when I actually apply this paint. I sometimes create edge highlights that are just a little too bold. Go around this canopy panel, around these softer edges. So, add a little bit more to my brush. I'm gonna kind of get in and hit the edges right in here. Trying to keep that a little bit more sharp. So, back to the back side there. And come back here and fill in this area. These little edges that come towards the back here on the sides of the head there. Focus on the tops and the ones that are going straight down on the sides here. We'll go to the top side of this thing. Load my brush up just a little bit more. And if you'll notice, I'm actually literally using my thumb as a painting handle. Sometimes it just be the way things be. Cool. Pop a little bit more. That's fine. I can go back in there with a bit of black ink after and correct that. These ones as well, right near the shoulder. Kind of about the limit to where I'm gonna spread them out towards the shoulder. I want to leave the arm devoid of this. So the arms and legs are not supposed to have any blue on them. Just the torso and head. Oops. Let's scrub that off if I can. Made a bit of a boo-boo. Yep, we got it off. Cool. If you can get onto your miniature with a clean brush loaded with water and give a quick scrub, you can kind of fix a lot of your mistakes right after they happen. But you got to be quick. Very, very fine edge highlight on that area. I don't want to go too thick. Go a little bit thicker up on here. It's a much more saturated area with blue. It's looking pretty good. These vertical ones, I'm gonna rinse off my brush because it's getting a little bit too dry. Not ideal. That's okay. We're kind of working quickly on these. Like, most of these are not going to be display-worthy miniatures necessarily. Some of them have mold lines and bad casting and whatnot, so some of them I'm going to try to do to a nice standard, probably like the Warhawk, and I don't know, maybe the Horned Owl, and maybe the Vapor Eagle. I'll probably try to do those to a higher standard. That way they can end up on the Camo Specs website. Mold lines. Saniatu. I hope I said that correctly. I consider myself a cultured man, but I'm not always the best at pronunciations. Yeah, we like to joke that mold lines are like Hydra. You scrape off one and two more appear. It is so true. I do try to be a little bit more diligent when I'm prepping miniatures. I like to throw like a very light spray of primer, and then like black primer with a little dusting from above with a bit of white ink, and then maybe a little bit of a dry brush as well with some white, and it helps a lot of those mold lines and little areas that need to be cleaned up still pop. So you can quickly go in, scrape those, and then throw a proper coat of primer or just your base coat of paint over top, and then carry on with your paint job. Centurion, Yenlo Wang were bad, yeah. Yeah, there's a few of the miniatures that are a little bit more notorious for mold lines than others, and it really just comes down to like either pose or just the shape of like a part of the mech that requires a bit of a more complicated mold shape or mold design. And because they make them with PVC plastic, it's not exactly the best for casting quality, and it's not the best for scraping either. So, like I still do actually scrape some of mine, but I also will just straight up shave some of my mold lines off with a fresh X-Acto blade, almost like I'm shaving off hair with a razor. I just made a little bit of a boo-boo on the other side, so I just cleaned it up with a little bit of water. It's looking pretty decent. I'm gonna do a few of the edges just on the sides there. I think my wet palette sponge is starting to get a little bit dry from the heat and humidity right now. It is really, really warm where I am. And I know I said humidity, but it is so hot where I am right now. So I think just the heat is sucking all the moisture out of my palette sponge. I'm gonna quickly touch up a few of these edges, and then I'm gonna add just a little bit of water to the sponge. Boom, just a little touch on that edge. Looking good. Backside's looking pretty good too. I don't think we really need to do much there. I think this guy's done. You go ahead and this out. Yeah, in particular, when it comes to mold lines, the Timberwolf in this was particularly bad. Pretty much all the mechs except the Warhawk from the Alpha Strike box set were really bad for some reason. Like this one, it was pretty good, but this one was really rough to clean up, as well as the Nova and the Pouncer. These were really, really bad to clean up. But honestly, a lot of the mechs from the Clan Striker Star, they cleaned up pretty easily. Didn't have horrific mold lines. I'm not sure if it was just a batch thing, or maybe it's just the actual designs lend a better molding. Who knows? Let's go on to the Horned Owl. This is one of the mechs I want to keep to a bit of a higher standard. I really enjoy this sculpt. It's very Zaku-like from Mobile Suit Gundam. Sinzion. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That wet palette sponge is, it's still wet, but there's no water just free-flowing in the container anymore. You can actually see there's some of the paints on the wet palette that have straight up got like a dry skin on them. Not the color that we're using, but some of the older colors that have been sitting on there for a handful of days. Start up on the head here. It's more in focus. Weird angle with the antenna there, but that's okay. Do a bit of a more bold one there. It's good. Slightly finer ones there. Another one back here just behind the antenna mast. I love doing the little antennas on these guys, just like so. Looks real tactical. Let's leave forward edge here. I know I'm a number of years too late for this, but I just installed Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time. So I'm probably going to be playing a little bit of that tomorrow. That's going to be pretty fun. I was reliving a bit of nostalgia with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. But there's just certain missions that don't play very well on the PC, like the Lowrider mission, which is fairly early on. Like the Caesar Viel Pando mission. It's like impossible to beat on the PC using the keyboard. It's brutal, and the game for whatever reason doesn't support controller. So I just said screw it. I'm just gonna go ahead and play Grand Theft Auto 5. I hadn't played it yet, and I bought it years ago, and I don't know why I never really got into it. Never really started playing it, but I've got the bug for Grand Theft Auto right now, so I'm gonna give that one a go over the next few weeks. Tracing that curved panel line there. Repeat that process on the other side here and trace this one. Try to do this nice and not too bold. Gonna do that little skinny edge highlight just on the other side of the panel line there. Probably do that on the other side as well. That's why not. Got to make things symmetrical. Get my hair out of the way here so I can keep this in focus. There we go. Woo. Just hold my breath a little bit there for a bit. Trying to keep this nice and steady. Come back over to this side and just reinforce this little edge. A very soft edge, but cool. Alright. It's looking pretty good. Pretty sharp on the center torso there. It's getting nice and bright. Kind of hit a little bit down here. Just these kind of vertical panel lines going up on the sides. Do the same thing going down here. I think we're about good on that area. I'm going to come back up towards kind of the shoulders here, and then we'll move on to the back side. Do this little straight line there. These little edges around the head area. Try to keep this one rather thin. Just like so. Nice and thin. I do this lower area, but just very, very lightly. This that little lower edge like that. Cool. Do this before the brush dries out completely. All right, cool. Got a tiny little nub of paint dried on the tip of the brush. Just gonna pluck that off. I always kind of take a look at the tip of my brush after I give it a rinse, because sometimes that does happen. And if you go and reapply paint, well, you're gonna end up with like kind of weird brush strokes that seem chunkier than they should be. And it's usually because of that. Today. They do all these vertical ones and the top facing ones. There we go. was a lot thicker than I wanted it to be. I'm going to see if I can scrub that a bit. Aha, success. Are you getting anything ready for Gen Con? Are you going? I am not this year. I went last year. It was actually my first gaming convention ever. I live in Canada, so I had to fly down to Indianapolis from Manitoba. Flew down out of Winnipeg. I don't live in Winnipeg, so I had to drive close to 2 hours to get to the airport, and then so I live in the middle of nowhere. Took a flight, and I ended up staying in Indianapolis with one of the Cam Specs artists, Raymond White. Stayed with him and his wife. Gave me quite a bit of hospitality. Played a game of Zombicide with him and his wife actually one night. That was pretty fun. Did that on the Friday night, I believe. But yeah, we did all 4 days of the convention, and then I flew back on Sunday evening at like 6 or 7, and then landed in Winnipeg just before midnight and drove home. So it was a pretty late night, but yeah, I didn't get home until like almost 2 a.m. So, but it was worth it. I would do it again. I just a little too busy this year. My wife just started working again after being on mat leave for a bit over a year. So wanted to just kind of focus on family and whatnot. And work has been very, very busy lately. So I just kind of wanted a nice, I'm on 3 weeks of vacation right now. So I wanted to just kind of relax, not spend money, work on some stuff that I've had quite the backlog just from this past year because, you know, babies make getting hobby time a little bit more difficult than usual. So this is looking pretty good. I really like this guy. Boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. 3 left. And then we're on to the next color. This is the Vixen or Incubus. Cyan blue. Last year at Gen Con, I played in the BattleTech Championship circuit. That was pretty fun. I came in second. I don't know how. So I lost most of my games, but they were pretty close matches. I think it was just based on points, like objective points scored across all the games. I somehow managed to eke out on overall points a second place holding. So that was pretty cool, especially for my first tournament. I played a Clan Novacats list that I did the BTCC Alpha Strike, so not classic, but yeah, I did Alpha Strike, and yeah, super fun. I really like playing Novacats. As you can see, I'm painting Novacats right now, so they're just I don't know, a fun faction. It's a shame that they kind of got removed from the setting during the Dark Ages. I guess kind of the Jihad is really when they really got dwindled in numbers, and they had like their own schism of the Spirit Cats versus the Nova Cats. I enjoy the faction. Kind of a, you know, like a second tier clan unit or second tier clan faction. I do like my clan wolf, but they're, you know, they have so much plot armor, it's not even funny. But I'm also okay with the amount of plot armor they have, because they're supposed to be like the cool bad guys of the setting that everybody loves to hate. I love it. I love seeing Inner Sphere tears. I also love when people love to comment on, you know, the whole get folked clanners. Talking about how Comstar beat the clans, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they don't. I assume some of them are probably just saying that in jest, already actually knowing what the actual lore is, but I also assume that there's probably a number of folks who are casuals who don't know the lore that well, or just know the Cliff's Notes, and don't know the nuances, and don't realize that the clans lost by design from the clans themselves. Because Khan Ulrich Kerensky did not want them to win. Because he was a warden and not a crusader. Can't remember correctly what was the clan. Well, Clan Novacats absorbed into Husk Korea after they'd defected from the clans. Husk Korea. I'm assuming you mean House Kurita. Kind of. They kind of got absorbed, but they not really. Like, they didn't get absorbed proper. They were given holdings by House Kurita in Kuritan space. E-text. Oh, talking while texting. Nice. As in voice to text. That makes sense. I'm sure your voice to text was like House Kurita. What the hell? That's not a phrase. Did a few more of these top-facing panel lines in the torso here. Just realized my hair was in the way. Just always finds a way to creep itself into the frame. Oh, do a few more panels on the back here, and then this guy should be good to go. Doesn't have a super big torso, thankfully. So we can just kind of smash through some quick edge highlights and carry on with our lives on a different mech. Go ahead and hit kind of these little verticals. And then these top facing ones, just like so. And then a little bit on this side here. Again, just the top facing ones and the verticals. Cool. This guy's good to go. I'm painting too, so try not to smear my phone with paint. Yeah, fair enough. Good call. Alright, this guy's good to go. I'm just gonna have another sip of my drink. I'm sipping on a beer. It's called Waves. It's a pale ale from Kilter Brewing, local to Manitoba. Pretty mid, to be honest. But it is, you know, gives me some flavor, a little bit of carbonation. I'm probably gonna grab a Diet Coke after this break here. So once we finish with this Vapor Eagle and the Piranha, I'm going to take a quick little 10-minute break, stretch my legs, go get a quick breath of fresh air, and then maybe see if I can sort out the chat embedding in the view you folks are looking at right now, for the painting desk. It is quite annoying that my chat is not active right now on the screen. This little curved panel line. With some area to clean up in there, a little bit of black. I'm actually going to grab just a little bit of black ink quickly and touch this up right now. I have a couple areas on some of these miniatures I got to fix, but I'm mostly just going to fix them later on after I've actually finished refining everything. But this one I just feel like fixing right now, because it bothers me. Good enough. Won't dry and good. Back in here with this blue. Just reinforce this left side. Head angle. It's perfectly fine. Alrighty. Back to the blue now. I'm taking a quick peek around the head here, seeing what areas I need to still highlight. See a little panel edge right here. Head's basically done. Reinforce these little guys right there. That's my brush. I'm going to go on to these shoulders now. All of these top-facing ones. Side here. This one's got a few mold lines right here on the edge of this panel that I'm working on that are not quite cleaned up. They're a little bit difficult, and I don't want to create additional fraying. There's a couple of these areas got a little bit beat up. Hard to tell on camera, but in person I can see them pretty well. So some of these edges right here. These forward-facing ones. Nub of paint on the end of my brush. Now we'll kind of hit all of these front to back ones. Reinforce a couple of these edges. Brush is starting to dry out a little bit, so I think I'm going to go ahead and reload. Reloading! I have a fan going in here that is trying to cool things down, but it is unfortunately causing me to work against myself here with the brush. So the paint is drying rather quickly on the brush. Then turn this guy around. That top edge, and then kind of these downward ones again. So good. Alrighty, I think this guy's just about done. Little spot back there I could hit. Same thing with up here. Cool. I think this dude's basically. Oh no, I see some areas up on the chest that need to be highlighted. Plenty of areas on the chest actually. Almost the entire chest. Started with the back instead of the front. That's what almost threw me for a loop. Yeah. These little edges right here. It's a very soft edge. This one's a little bit of a harder one. We'll hit that as well. Okay. Trying to get this all done without having to reload my brush again. Right. Crazy itchy nose all of a sudden. Weird. Alrighty. That's looking pretty good. Boom. One Mac left. This is going to be the Piranha. Definitely gonna have to take some time and make sure I hit all these edges on this guy's sexy six-pack right here with all of his nipple lasers. It's got all the nipple lasers. This guy's like a dog with extra nipples and abs, dude. Get up on the head here. Paint is starting to dry out a little bit too much on the wet palette, actually. It's coming off a little bit thicker than I would like. I'm gonna add just a little bit more paint to the wet palette. Just gonna check my water level here too. Yeah, my water keeps dropping like crazy here. It is so hot in here. Just cooking. Add a little bit more water. And a little bit more paint. Just learned a new BT lore term, nipple laser. Oh yeah, dude. It's like the old dick laser from the Mackie. Double dick laser. Double dick diodes, dude. A diode is what a laser emits light from, in case you're not tracking. Maybe you'll learn something else today. Yes, the double dick diodes, the triple Ds on the Mackie. Those are my favorite. I know with the redesign, they kind of moved the lasers from the dick up to the waistline, which I think is an abhorrent abomination. I want my original Mackie with my double dick diodes. Go into the back of this guy before I go to the front, kind of like I did on one of the other mechs. Kind of an unconscious thing. Try to stay consistent with how I work through mechs, but sometimes I just fuck it off completely and just do what I feel like in the moment. It also helps, you know, if you go through mechs the same way every time, it helps you avoid missing details, which has happened to me before. And actually, I do have a detail I got to go back in and hit with some metallics, which is on this Warhawk. It's that flamer bit right there. I got to hit that with a little bit of metallics. In there. God, I like warm weather, but it really chaps my ass when I'm trying to paint. It's funny because my wife is an ice queen. She loves winter. She's a good Canadian that way. I'm a big late spring kind of guy. Late spring, early fall, those are kind of my times. Still nice and warm, but, you know, cools off at nighttime, that kind of thing. I'm going to try to make these lines nice and fine on the torso. These are very, very like thin panel lines. Got a little bit of paint on the edge of the metallics there. See if I can scrub that off. I'll be able to. That's fine. I can go back in and fix that when I add metallics to the Warhawk. Totally fine. Too much on my brush. There we go. So top facing edges near this center laser. Another mech that has really prominent nipple lasers is the Guillotine. It's got it literally has giant booby lasers. Like if you go look at the Guillotine, stop right now, go look up a Guillotine on Sarna. You will laugh your ass off because it literally has tits. It's got giant titty lasers. Big round things, quite literally. And if me saying the word tits offends you, I'm not sorry. Trying to make sure I don't get any of this blue in that recessed panel line. True, cannot be unseen. No, yeah, like 100%. It has giant, literally, it has literal boobs on its center, like on its side torso. It's crazy. With these giant glowing nipple lasers. Actually, a hilarious design aesthetic. I don't know who decided to choose that, but my hat's off to them. God bless you, sir. Or ma'am. Boom. It's a spicy little piranha right there. Even did the little piranha teeth and some highlights on the tops and bottoms of that canopy panel. Sick. Cool. Alrighty. So that was all of the initial edge highlights. We are going to go back in with a brighter color. It's going to be Arcane Blue. So just to show you this one. So this is Arcane Blue right here. This is what we were using. And then, or sorry, this is Temple Guard Blue. This is what we were using. And what I want to use is Arcane Blue, and I'm probably going to mix this with just a little bit of white, but just so you can see the color difference. Let's see if I can get my the brightness on my light just slightly. I'll zoom this in. So as you can see, this Arcane Blue here is noticeably brighter. It's actually got a slight bit more green in the mix, which is kind of what and obviously a little bit more white in the mix to make it brighter. But I am going to add just a very, very light touch of white to this, I think, and then do some smaller edge highlights on all of these guys. So all of the front and top facing ones are going to get emphasized. A lot of the ones on the sides and away from where there's high concentrations of blue, I'm not really going to touch with this color. Maybe just like the very sharpest corners. But yeah, we're going to take a quick break. What time is it right now? 9:39. Perfect. Okay, cool. We're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to come back at around 9:50. We'll call it 9:52. Give myself a 13-minute break here because it is 9:39 and change. We'll be back in about 12 and a half minutes, folks. Okie dokie. The Mech Frog. Getting froggy in the chat. How's it going, fella? Keep that off there. Alrighty, let's get back to it. We're going to hop into the next round of highlighting. I'm going to go ahead and crack my Diet Coke because I'm healthy and shit. Hashtag health. HELTH health. I'm going to go ahead and get some of this arcane blue on the palette. I'm gonna also go ahead and grab some of my white ink afterwards. Back myself up slightly so my head doesn't keep bobbing into the frame. I gotta reposition my camera just slightly. There we go. Good. That's a little bit better. I think that'll be a little bit less of a nuisance. Go ahead and pop these bottles back in. I'll leave that arcane blue out. Second. Squeezing just a little bit of air out of this. So this is like a personally bought dropper bottle. I got in like a bag of 50 or 100 from Amazon. And they're just like by like a millimeter. They're slightly wider in diameter. So in my little side laying slots, this thing fits kind of tight. So I like squeezing a little bit of air out of it before I stick it back in. I'm going to go ahead and grab this white ink. This is from Daler & Rowney. It's their FW line. They also have their Aqua line. I have some of those inks as well. It's just a good quality artist ink. I like this for just a good punchy pure white. It's very vibrant. I also use their black ink just as like a black paint. I essentially use it to base coat all my black stuff. It's really, really nice. Super saturated and pigmented, like highly pigmented. So it just has really good coverage and it's very thin. So that's why I like it. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab like a dollop. Zoom in just slightly. And I'm just going to kind of mix it in. Another little dollop. And one more. Just ever so slightly brightening this arcane blue. I don't want it to be super bright, not yet. Because I'm going to do a third highlight eventually, which is going to be like almost a 50-50 mix of white ink to the arcane blue. So I'm going to kind of focus on the front half, that top panel there. And I'm trying to make these edge highlights sharper. Very, very thin edge highlights. Like that. Trace this back along these right hand edges of all these panels. There we go. Focus on kind of just the front half of this, I think, with this color. Maybe just a little bit along this back edge here, and some on on the top there. But you can notice, like, this is significantly brighter than the previous color that we had below. It's very, very punchy. Catches that light quite a bit. So we definitely don't want to overdo this, because you can easily overdo this color and put it in some of the wrong places, and you will kind of ruin the whole thing. So definitely take like a less is more approach with this. And again, really focus on, like, I'm focusing on the front and like the front half of the side edges. It's a little bit bolder than I would have liked, but that's okay. I'm just gonna ride with it. And change my angle here. Little angle of approach. This will be way easier. I don't know why I was doing it that way. Sometimes you just get locked into doing something and you're like, what am I doing? This is just not the best way to be doing this. Happens to the best of us. Just gonna get like a little bit of this one. This top areas here. Some of these harder edges. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of the verticals, but just like the top little bits. I'm not going to go all the way down like I did with the Temple Guard Blue. And I'm not going to hit every single edge. Like I'm just not going to hit every single... That's way too dry. Holy hell. Totally lost my train of thought on what I was just saying. Blame my herbal supplement for that. We'll let you figure out what that means. Okay. Now, I don't know what you think, but I think that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Inside my brush, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this mix. I want to kind of do like a very soft highlight toward the corner. With this highest area as well as the front. So again, I kind of left like some of these areas back here untouched. I really focused it on the front. A little bit of lo-fi Zelda music, why not? Come back and do kind of the same thing here. Just a very soft, oops. Kind of do like a very soft edge highlight here. Nothing big, just a little bit on the bottom here. So and again, I'll kind of focus on this forward area. I'll do a tiny little bit here, but for the most part, I'm kind of leaving some of these panels untouched. I'll hit a little bit on the front of this, because this guy, I went really bold with the Temple Guard Blue. Not intentionally, it was totally by accident. A little bit more of this paint mix. I get kind of these little boxy things right here. I'm kind of doing like the one side really bold and then the one side not quite as bold, just for a little bit of variation, some subtle variation and contrast. Sometimes it's about the little things, you know? Kind of focus on some of these more exposed edges first before I get carried away with some of the more hidden ones. Again, really focusing on like these top panels more than anything else. I'll kind of go down on the sides a little bit. Really, again, I'm just focusing on these more pronounced ones first. Then I'll kind of come into some of these more hidden ones. Just touch up a little bit. Come down on the sides here. Right up along the sides of the canopies. Looking very sharp. Go ahead and have a sip of my drink. Let's hit a few. Let's hit like these softer corners here. Down like that slightly. And then I'll kind of hit just a little bit right here. Just a tiny bit. Again, less is more. You don't want to really like overdo this color because this is very, very bright. So if you put it in the wrong place, it's going to stand out in a way that's not good. You only want to put this color where there's already some fairly bright tones. Do not want to place this where it's very, very dark. That's it's going to cause you some issues. No, we're just going to leave that. I don't care. It looks fine. Yep. Alrighty, let's move towards the back. Still have a little bit on kind of the top here to do. A little bit of that mix again. I'm going to kind of hit some of these forward edges of these little panels. This one side. I'm going to do kind of the entire top facing panel here, but I'm just going to do a little bit on the downward side. Not the entire thing, just a little bit. Whoops, let's get that more centered. So I did the entire top side, but just a little bit down on this side. Not the entire thing. So I don't have any edge highlight along here. I'm not going to bother putting this color on that edge. Go ahead and rinse this. Make a little bit more of that color mix. I'm just adding a little bit of white ink into this arcane blue. Not much, just a little bit. This one right here. A little bit on that central kind of crossover area. I'll crossroads between the highlights. That one looks a little bit weird, but I'll let it fly. It almost looks like a star in of itself. So I think once we add all the stars and stuff, it'll just kind of it'll blend. It'll buff. She'll buff. And I'm just kind of hitting these top facing ones, and then kind of those most extreme highlights on some of these side facing panel edges. I think this might be just about good. I don't really want to overdo it too much on the back side here. A little bit right there. I think that's good. Warhawk done. We will come back in and we're going to kind of do some corner highlights, but that's going to be after we do this application to all the others. But that corner highlight, it's going to be very, very small, but it's going to go a long way. These things are going to sparkle. Like, literally, they're going to look like they're almost sparkling. Yeah, we're just going to start on the missile pod. And the nice thing is, like, you're having to be a little bit more picky and choosy with where you apply this, but you're applying it in such small amounts that you can actually kind of move through a miniature relatively quickly. Doesn't take too long. Let's get all the front ones. There. I know it looks a little bit weird because I just have the front panels done. I'm going to kind of hit the sides now. I'm going to do the whole side. So, and then I'm going to do just a part of the side on the other side of the these panels. You can kind of see that little effect that creates. Just creates a little bit extra variation and contrast. And like you can see, those panels are significant. Like those panel edges up there are significantly brighter than the other ones. Back to this angle here, hitting. Notice how I leave like a very, very small gap in the middle there. I'm not going to hit the entire front of this. It's a very long panel. I'm going to hit all these little front points. I actually think those are very important to hit, because those are very small points that would actually see, like, you know, a lot of like edge wear and polishing real time, so they would probably like be very bright. And in keeping with this theme up here, I'm going to do the entire side on this side, and then just part of the side on the other. Just kind of keep the light the same. So if you're going to do something like that, where you're going to do like the full edge on the one side and then just a partial edge on the other, make sure you keep that direction consistent throughout the entire miniature, or else you're going to end up with some funky looking pattern. I mean, it might just come across as a pattern, but it's not going to look like light coming from a certain direction, if that makes sense. Not that this is like super realistic by any means. This is, you know, a little stylish in terms of, you know, the painting style. One thing that's really helping us here too is there's a ton of tonal variation, because we have a bit of that purple kind of in the recesses. Just really helps with the overall look of this paint job. And then I'm going to do the entire edge on that one, and then just a partial here. I'm going to do this edge as well, just because there's a really bright gradient there. Just kind of makes sense to me. And I'll hit these forward edges a little bit down here. These ones. Looking pretty sharp. We'll probably going to do the sides of the missile pods first, and then I'll move down onto kind of the front of the center torso, and then after that we'll go to the back sides. Actually, I'm going to finish off the missile pods complete. A bit more of this color mix. It's we'll get kind of not all the way down on those edges. Then we'll kind of do the entire bottom front there. Just part way down. Front edge on this one. I'm going to kind of really draw a sharp line if I can here. Good one here, and then a partial down this way. So keep that on this other side here. Fan dried my brush up pretty quickly. Let that little bit of dried paint off my brush, and we'll crack on. If you haven't already, pop into the Discord, into the real-time painting channel. Drop your work in progress shots and recently finished projects in there. For the end of the show here, we'll pop over there and take a quick look as a group. Scroll through, take a look at what you folks have. I think that'll be nice and fun. That was a little bit weird. Okay. Debating where else on these missile pods. I guess I have to do the insides here. Just little highlights on this, nothing big. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side here. I'm not even going to do the full top side one, just because I want to try to create additional contrast. Just doing little areas. I think those are good. I'm going to do the back sides of them quickly, and then we can crack on with the center torso. Offload some of that excess. Nice and bright, this color. Just like so, just little touches near those corners. I kind of do top edges and corners. I do kind of gotta do along this side as well. With little edge highlights, they don't have to be, again, like full or complete. Having little areas that you're just touching with this is actually pretty good. Gonna help. Looking good. Go ahead and rinse out my brush. Yet another piece of paint stuck onto the end. Alrighty, let's get on to the center torso and the area around the cockpit canopy. I'm gonna start right around the canopy. Pretty much gonna frame almost the entire frame with this color, because this is like the big focal point on the Timberwolf. So all those little panel edges that would definitely be catching light, those are the ones I'm hitting. Oops. Bit of a boo-boo there. That's nothing big though, that's really small. I just filled in a bit of a recess with some bright color, that's okay. Not the end of the world. Or is it? Oops. Out of the way. So you can kind of see I'm starting to build some of that brightness. Just going to go back to this color mix on the palette, add a little bit more. Then check my flow. Come up to the top area. So get this comes all the way down essentially. Focus near this corner. I'll do this edge a little bit as well. The other side of this panel gap as well, I'll do. I'll have to reinforce a little bit on this side now. Piece of paint glued. I was going to say glued, kind of, I guess glued, but stuck onto the end of the paintbrush. Thank my fan for that. The fan's keeping me cool, keeping me from sweating my ass off, but unfortunately it's causing a few ass pains with a paintbrush. Looking great. Thanks, White Fox. Happy to see you in the stream. Indeed. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to, like, again, less is more, especially with this color. So I'm not gonna do anything else on that one. Let's move on to the Nova. Start around the framing on this one. Now, the internal frame there, that was kind of right over the canopy. I did the entire thing essentially in this color, but the external framing, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative with how much I apply. Just kind of focusing on a few corners and higher areas. Closer to the nose here. What I'm calling the nose. I'll have to come back in and kind of touch this area up. The nose looks just a little bit funky because there's like a big dark spot there, but that's okay. Really just focusing on those forward areas and the highest areas. There we go. Probably all I need around the head. I'm gonna move on to the center torso now. Just gonna load a little bit of water into my brush. Going back into this paint. Change my angle of approach here. Back here, this will be a lot easier. I hit all of these forward-facing panel edges all at the same time, essentially. Try to do this as quickly as I can before all the paint dries, as it is right now. It's stuck in my brush. Kind of edge highlighting some of these more exposed, prominent edges first. Again, in an effort to try to avoid putting some of these in unnecessary places. How many different colors did you highlight with? The highlighting on like not just the edges, but the other stuff technically would be ultramarine blue was the first highlight, or I guess it would be the second layer. First highlight would be crystal blue. Second highlight would be temple guard blue, which is what we edge highlighted with previous to this, and then right now we're using temple guard blue with a little bit of white ink. So I guess technically we're on the third highlight color right now. The first highlight was kind of like an area / edge highlight color. So I'm doing my jazz hands there. And then we're going to have a fourth final highlight color that we're going to use. And that's just going to be like the most prominent corners and edges. Take a look at what else. We might need some attention here. Nice, and that's from base color up. No oil washes or anything. So I essentially, the base color was just like the black with the highlighted charcoal. And then I used intense blue as well as royal purple from Vallejo. And I kind of like use my airbrush to spray in just little spots all over, mixing the two colors, kind of covering every area differently. And that's why you have like these undertones of purple kind of showing through in some of the paint job. And then from there, I started using the sponge to layer up ultramarine blue, then crystal blue, and then a little bit of temple guard blue, and then I edge highlighted with the temple guard blue, and then now the arcane black charcoal zenithal. Yeah, kind of. So I did like black and then top down in certain areas with the charcoal gray, and then that's how I highlighted the black. So, and then I did a bit of a dry brush prior to starting on the blue stuff. That way, pretty much we don't really need to touch the edges on the black area. We're just going to leave them as is for the most part. We'll do a little bit of weathering, which will kind of add to a little bit of the edge highlighting in a way, but that's going to be like selective with a little bit of dry brushing and a couple like freehand chipping marks and scratches. But yeah, it's going to be good. Hydration break, and I'm being a heathen and I'm hydrating with Diet Coke at the moment. All right. Move to the backside of this guy. This is one of the weaker sculpts of the group that has some casting issues, so I'm gonna focus too hard on this dude. All good. I'm hydrating with ginger ale and body armor mixed this evening. I don't know what body armor is. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean by that. Is this an American thing? I'm too Canadian to understand. It's basically Gatorade. Ah, I see. Okay, cool. We're gonna call this guy good. We'll go ahead and grab the Pouncer. Also another weak sculpt. This guy's got some pretty big old panel lines, so this should be a good one to do some edge highlighting with. Big old edges, big old panel edges. Do the canopy first, I think, here. Do all the framing on the sides and undersides, a little bit on the top as well, but try to be a little bit more selective on this one than I was on the Nova. About all we can do around the actual canopy itself. Do a few of these edges, some more of these on the front. Again, some bad casting on a few of these areas. Should be a little bit more detailed, and there's just really not much detail to be seen. It's kind of unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. Just a limit of the material, I guess, and the actual casting process. Without it. Not all of it, but most of it, and then I'll do like just a little bit of this one. Go ahead and rinse my brush. I've honestly never mixed them before, but I had a half drunk cups of both, and I like ginger ale and berry when it's released in the winter, so I figured I'd drink them together. LOL. Yeah, kind of hoping that CGL's takeover of IWM leaves it better and in-house casting for plastics. I just don't know if that'll have a crossover, because IWM doesn't make plastics. So their molding practices and casting practices would be much different than doing PVC that Catalyst contracts out to China. I definitely hope that they do continue to manage Iron Wind metals, or at least that side of things, well. Because I do like Iron Wind metals. I like a lot of the metal miniatures, and honestly, those are what I would consider some of the more premium ones these days. Some of the sculpts are notorious for mold slip issues and whatnot, like very common on specific sculpts, or like little faults within the actual cast, but that usually has to do with bad master molds being made. For the most part, a lot of their newer stuff is really good to go. Like, I really like Iron Wind metals. And honestly, there's a lot of their miniatures that takes me less time to clean them up and build them, drilling and pinning everything, than it does to clean up one of these. So there is something to be said about that. Oh, I don't think it'll happen soon, but CGL didn't have any facilities to even work with. Now they have a production facility that could potentially be used for other things. Yeah, you know what? Good point. Maybe they could take their Stylecast production back from Monster Fight Club and stop making really bad premium miniatures. That'd be awesome, because their premium miniatures are pretty shit. I know Catalyst Game Labs probably wouldn't be that happy about me saying that, but it's just the truth, unfortunately. I like a lot of their products, but their premium miniatures are just garbage. And it's because they're not made in-house by Catalyst Game Labs, or like they're not handled by their production team. They're handled by Monster Fight Club. But I think that's changing in the future. I've heard rumblings. I don't want to speak anymore. I don't want to speak out of turn, but might be changing. I'm very hopeful, but we'll see. Howdy, folks. What's up, Frankie Fingers? Angus Khan. Howdy, YouTube chat was lonely. Yeah, sorry about that. It's, yeah, and a lot of people on YouTube chat. And for whatever reason, my YouTube chat's not coming on this chat box for some reason. It's annoying. Sorry about that. White Fox, man, considering IWM's metal is all sourced in the US, kind of disappointed CGL raised their metal mini prices like 20%. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of opinions around that. It seems that people do something that looked better than Stylecast trying to emulate GW's casting recently. What are these people that you saw, or who are these people that you saw doing this, and what were they making? Curious to know more myself. Would you like to know more? I would like to know more. It's a really bad sculpt, so I'm not even going to bother continuing with the highlights on the backside of that guy. But yeah, the backside's just like a lot of the details kind of soft and kind of weird, so I'm just not going to bother with it too much. Let me look them up. I only have an item catapult. The quality is good. Disappointed they're more expensive now too. Yeah, they were already pretty expensive as it was, like $20 each, especially for me. Like, I'm in Canada, so US dollars is like significantly more expensive than Canadian, so I pay a markup premium as it is whenever I buy things from the States. Yeah, I like the catapults. The catapult C3/C5 used to have issues with like fault lines from a bad master mold, but they since fixed it, so that's pretty good. I'm just trying to do very, very fine edge highlights inside some of these more bold ones that I did up here earlier. So I really want to sharpen these areas up so they don't look thick. Know what I'm saying? Can't have those lines too thick. These front ones. Side there, I guess. Boom. Looking good, I guess. So Squidbar Miniatures did a video with a GW competitor, and they talked about the cost for molds and sprues. That was the one. Did they like, what did they discuss? Do you remember what they talked about when it came to cost and like how much it would cost to make like not in China and make it like in-house inside a European or North American country? Another was a YouTube video, can we do it at home? And they kind of did. Interesting. Okay. Like, do it at home as in like literally do it at home, or do it at home as in like do it within North America / Europe? We'll have to go back and check it out. Yeah, for folks on YouTube, if you are watching, I do apologize. My chat widget, for whatever reason, isn't working right now, and my chat box that I have up in my stream service is not feeding me my YouTube chat for some reason. So that's some kinks I gotta look into over the next couple days, and iron those out. Yeah, so Squidmar video did talk about the cost, how much it would cost per mold, which are always the most expensive part. Yeah, the molds are always the most expensive part. Once you have the molds, like you can, like, I mean, you obviously need to service the molds well to extend their life, and eventually you will wear that mold out. But once you got that mold, like you can make a lot of miniatures with that mold. It's just a matter of materials and having good ancillary equipment to go along with the whole mold process. The whole maker guys basically followed Squidmar's video, emulating what they did with the CNC machine. Oh, cool. So they literally made their own molds, is what you're saying. That's pretty cool. We come to the back side of the Conjurer here. This is one of the miniatures I kind of want to paint to a bit of a higher standard. Pretty good sculpt. It's in pretty good shape too, so. I'm going to finish this up before my paint dries. Off my brush. With the back side there. They're like really high up edges, so cool. Go ahead and rinse. Take a look at the chat here. I saw a couple things. Yeah, they use a CNC machine with some aluminum blocks to create a mold for a classic Space Marine backpack. I saw that. That was Eon's Battle. Oh, okay. I like Eon's Battle. It was Archon Studios in the EU that Squidmar visited. Archon Studios, interesting. This guy's looking pretty good. We're going to move on to the next one. So we've got, yeah, let's go into the Horned Owl here. He also apparently developed a method to create pre-painted minis. Interesting, pre-painted minis. Like just, oh, just different colored plastic pieces, so it's like pre-painted. God damn it. I'm going to have a whole YouTube playlist to watch after this shit. Making some more of this arcane blue and white ink mix on my wet palette because I'm running a little bit low on it. Luzaku! Hell yeah, dude. Take off that little edge highlight that I did right there. Made that a little bit weird and kind of way too bold. So, just wanted to scrub that off and fix it. There. That's better. I like the idea of pre-painting to get some folks into the games, but it kind of defeats the purpose for me. Yeah, I kind of agree. No, they can pre-paint it well on the sprues using UV ink, spraying it on the sprues. Spraying it on the sprues. So, like, did they just use an airbrush to do that, or did they have like a machine that sprayed it on? Because if it was like fully automated, that would be kind of cool, especially just, yeah, like trying to get people into the game. Or if you're just a lazy dude and you just want to like not have to paint like a whole horde army or something like that, just have it painted in like 3 different colors by a machine, that'd be cool. Fully automated, goddamn, dude, that's cool. Way too much of my brush. Okay. Side here. These harder curves. this brighter highlight color. Showing off the end of Squid Mars video. I think I remember seeing like previews of that going around on like Instagram and stuff a while back. It looked like okay from what I remember, just from like the quick glances I saw, but interesting. Some of these higher edges. I mean, the pre-painted look pretty amazing for what they are, shaded and everything. Yeah, for sure. But let me sit over here and be snobby. Oh, a machine painted your minis. Doth thou even push pigment? Let me stare down my nose at you, cretin. Much better than the pre-painted X-Wing minis. I never really played X-Wing. Like, I never really messed with them, so... but if they are UV coated, I wonder if you'd even have to strip them to repaint. Yeah, I have no idea. Alright. The blue Zaku is looking pretty snazzy. We'll go on to the Vapor Eagle here. Kind of hit like all these really raised areas. Let's line up over here. Bit of a soft edge here, so it's kind of hard to cheat and just use the edge of the brush. So I'm actually having to really be careful about how thick I make this. Pre-painted ship paint jobs are kind of iffy. I'm surprised they got rid of X-Wing. Some people claim. Yeah, I think a lot of people were very surprised that they got rid of X-Wing. because yeah, it had quite the following, and a lot of people that, I mean, there's still a lot of people that play it. When I was at Gen Con last year, I saw tables of people playing it. Yeah, that was definitely a weird one. Like I didn't play it myself, but I always saw it around, just online and in a lot of the hobby groups and stuff like that. And with Armada, not a big following, but it was fun, and people are still trying to keep it alive. FFG fumbled Star Wars license when they bought. I see. So they literally lost licensing to it. That's pretty hilarious. That's really bad. If they fumbled the licensing, then that means they literally screwed themselves out of a bunch of money. That's the problem. They didn't lose the license. They just dropped half their successful games when Asmodee bought them and broke them into different divisions for interesting. Waiting for there. Focus a little bit more on the top here rather than the front. Trying to really focus here so I can try to crush through this one. So still got 2 left. I want to try to finish the blue at least tonight. Okay. A little bit on here. This guy's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that for now. Can always add to it a little bit more later. We'll do the Piranha, and then the last one's going to be the Incubus or the Vixen, whichever your preferred nomenclature is. They canceled the SW, Destiny, and Dyson card game and the Living card game to basically ghost everyone who were playing the Star Wars tabletop RPG. Dropped X-Wing and Armada to create a Star Wars version of Asmodee's Crisis Protocol. I wonder if Asmodee is screwed with Diamond shutting down or if they have their own distribution. Good evening. Finally was able to make out to one of the stream. My TARDIS. thanks for making it out. You'll be here for the end, which will be pretty cool. We'll go through the Discord and take a look at whatever people posted. So if you have some miniatures you've been working on or anything, feel free to post it in the Discord. It's the link is pinned up in the chat there. Right. Let's crack on with this guy here. Trying to hit all these really prominent edges quickly. I don't really want to miff about too much. On the shoulders here. This guy doesn't have a whole lot of surface area on the torso, so it's going to come down to the abdominals. I think those center lines really nice. Put on the outside as well, but those look pretty good. A little bit on these little chesticles right here. Okay, I think that's good for the front. Hit a few of these higher edges on the back, and then we'll move on to the Vixen. And touch up there. This guy might be done. Just for this color anyways. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call that good. Do you remove them from the base to do basing? No, I do not. At least not with these ones. Like I did not. I just left them on and then glued on sand. Called her a day. But for other miniatures, yeah, like I have 40mm plywood bases I use for a lot of things. Show you what they look like in comparison. It's significantly larger. If you look at a lot of my miniatures on my Instagram are on these things. So you can see the difference in base size. They can make light mechs look a little bit ridiculous, but honestly, for everything medium and up, I really enjoy the 40mm bases. Just gives me a lot of room to do like scenic basing. So, but yeah, if I'm just going to be doing them on these bases, I just leave them on, because I'm probably not doing a really scenic base unless I'm just gluing like a bunch of tufts and stuff to it. I want to try out the Bear Cavalry basing stuff. Bear Cavalry basing. Not sure what that is. I feel like they're big enough to use several distributors. Oh, that's in reply to another one. Do you play with larger hex sizes? Yes and no. Yes. Like I play with my 40mm hex minis, but I don't play classic. I play with Alpha Strike, so I'm measuring with a tape measure. I'm not using hexes on a hex map. Not gonna have to do too many edges on this guy. There's a few of these prominent ones on the head. A couple on the shoulders here, I guess. Doing kind of these areas where it's the brightest. I'm not gonna do too many elsewhere. Do a few more up on the head here, a little bit up on that antenna, a little bit beside the head, I think. Bought some recently, barely used them, but the pigments seem good. Also are good liquid, not too thick. Oh, Bear Cavalry's a paint company paint company rather, out of Seattle. Okay. Bought some recently, barely used them yet. Pigments are good. Nice. Also same price as say Army Painter, but slightly bigger bottles. Nice. Check those out. I'm a big fan of Formula P3. I got to get some of their new the new production that they have. So they had a Kickstarter that Privateer Press ran, and they got enough backers to kind of put some into production. So those are really good paints because they have liquid pigments. So the paints themselves are like very smooth out of the bottle. Good consistency out of the bottle. And like not too thick, like just a little bit of water added into your brush, like just a tiny little bit, and you grab a little paint on your wet palette and you can base coat a miniature pretty quick and easy. Really good, smooth, even coverage, highly pigmented, so covers like really quickly with like 2 thin coats easily. And sometimes in one coat, you'll get good coverage. So, hitting a few of these smaller corners. I think this dude's honestly good. Doesn't need too much more. Alrighty. So let's back out briefly here. Just taking a look at the time. We don't really have a lot of time left. I really wanted to finish the blue here, but I do got to get off to bed at a reasonable time here. I only have 1 P3 paint left. Yeah, I have 2 left. I have Bloodstone and Arcane Blue, which we're using right now, and I hold them very near and dear to my heart. I'm very ginger with how much. Or very conservative with how much of this stuff I actually use because I don't want to run out. Yeah. It'll probably take me another 20-30 minutes to get through the rest of the blue highlighting, so we'll save that for next time because we're going to be going on to the Starfields anyways. But yeah, we'll take a quick look at what a lot of these are looking like right now. They're pretty bright. Digging how they turned out. Boom, just like that. Zoom in slightly on these. Digging those. Turned out pretty good. We're gonna go in with like a much heavier, like white to arcane blue mix to do the final highlights. Pretty much just like a few of the corners and a couple spots in some of these edges. And then after that, we'll go on to some of the Starfields. Well, not some of the Starfields, all the Starfields, all the stars. That's gonna be pretty fun. Oh, you know what? I just realized I didn't get the fire moth with this color. That's okay. We'll get it next. We'll get it next stream. I'll just make a note of that. I was just looking at this and I was like, hey, this isn't as bright. And that's because I don't have that secondary highlight color on there. But that's okay. We hit our time cap. We're gonna hop over to the we'll hop over to my actual PC desk and we'll hop into the Discord and we'll see what people shared. Go through the listing, the thread, do a few closing remarks, and we'll close out the show. Okay, folks, I'm gonna pull up my Discord here. Officius, I'm seeing that you in the YouTube chat finally made a stream. Holy, what step are you working on? I'm just working on the I was working on the edge highlighting. Sorry I missed you in the chat. The YouTube chat's not coming through on my my chat box for some reason. Not sure why. I'm still trying to work that out, but hopefully the YouTube chat will be sorted for next stream. Yeah, because my chat widget for whatever reason isn't even showing up on my stream here for some reason, even though it's showing in my my sources. So I'll have to iron that out. It's probably literally one of those things where I just got to turn the streaming software off and turn it back on. Yeah, it's one of those silly things. Oh well. Let's get to the Discord here. So in the real-time painting, don't really have much. We've got something from Brashido, Kevin Witt. I'm going to save this and drop this into the stream chat if I can, just so if folks aren't on the Discord, they can actually see this, because this thing's awesome. This is a Logan Wolverine bust, and it is beautiful. Skin tones are awesome. Let's see if I can drop this in here. No, I can't drop it into the Twitch chat, unfortunately. That's okay. But that's what Discord's for. Get on the Discord, folks. More motivation to do that. But yeah, Kevin's Logan's super beautiful. It's got a little bit of rips in the shirt and some blood. The highlighting on the hair is absolutely beautiful. Like, he's got like, almost looks like a tiny little bit of purple glazed into there. I could be wrong. Maybe that's just a cold gray. But yeah, the highlighting's absolutely gorgeous in there. Yeah, Kevin is great. We'll pop over to the Miniature Painting Emporium. Booby 109's got some generic clan stuff he finished recently. Got a mongrel, a adder, Timberwolf, executioner, and a hell or a Loki Mark II, as well as a couple points of elementals. That looks pretty good in that olive green. I guess it's a little bit brighter in olive green. It kind of comes off as an olive green, like a bright olive green. Ray Cracker Box has some Infinity stuff he's shared. That looks pretty good. Looking at some other vehicles. It's pretty nice. Seeing some other stuff in the real-time painting. Mantardis. Nice. I'm a big fan of the Vulcan. It's a really cool looking sculpt. I like the menacing like flamer arm. And I like kind of that bulbous canopy. I'm a big fan of all the bug mechs too, the locust, the wasp, and the spider. Some chipping, weathering canopies, as well as metallics. Yeah, good work, man. Like the canopies are clean, especially on that locust. Honestly, on the wasp too, like that's super clean for the really tiny windows. You got some really good brush control, man. Not bad at all. It was pretty good. Couple mold lines and stuff, but it's so hard to hit all of them. Like I went for the 90% solution with a lot of these, especially because some of the casting just wasn't that good. Love his recent Fox. Oh, White Fox SG talking about Kevin Witt. Love his recent Fox. Fox Kanate Jade Phoenix Max. Yeah, definitely. They're with the water bases. Yeah, those are super cool. Yeah, if you haven't checked out, if you're in the chat and you haven't checked out Brushido 87 on Instagram, check out his page. He's got some really good stuff. He's another Camo Specs artist. Yeah, man, Tardis, really good work. Now you're doing DCMS. I'm trying to. I don't recognize this paint scheme. What's the unit? What's the subunit? I was about to guess new Sam Arcan, but yeah, Gallon and regulars. Good, very good. White and dark green for the paint scheme. Well, I'll tell you that your white's coming across as gray, but especially if you add a little bit of enamels or something like that, I mean, it looks like I guess you could pass it off as like a heavily weathered gray, or heavily weathered white rather. Might be SLDF. Yeah, a lot of people always forget that SLDF has like a few different paint schemes they used, like gray with blue highlighting and stuff like that. They also rocked like a tan scheme, all of which are canon. It's just most people know them for the standard olive drab. And then they also they used operational camo in a number of cases as well. So very cool stuff. Digging that. Happy that Mantardis popped in there and posted some stuff for us to look at. It's pretty cool. Happy to see some people participate. Oops, that's not what I wanted there. Swapping between windows here. Well, I think that's probably all for this evening, folks. I'm gonna see. Oh, Mantardis. Yeah, I didn't use enough white on the first pass through, but for campaign you got coming up in a week. It's pretty good work for like if you're just doing quick work for a campaign. Passable, definitely passable. Heavily weathered. They need a fresh coat of paint, you know? They've just been out in the field for too long, looking all dingy. There's some Aridani art out there, not using standard olive drab too. Yeah, 100%. Try to make more. It's nice painting with company. Yeah, totally. It's one of the reasons I like the stream. I can blab without sounding like a crazy person. Because if I just talk to myself in my office, then yeah, I might be a crazy person. But now I get to talk to you folks. Good night. Have a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna close out the stream here. I'm gonna try to sort out the live chat thing. I don't know why my chat's not coming through. It is super annoying. I had to start the show in a hurry tonight just because late start. Kid was cranky as hell. So, but we'll carry on. Yeah, that's it for the evening. Appreciate you spending your time with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Next show is going to be Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Central. Don't miss it. We'll carry on with more work on these bad actors, see how much closer to the finish line we can get. It's been another relaxing, real-time painting session on Arclight's Asylum. I hope to see you next time. Have a good night, folks.